The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss synthetic versus organic fertilizer, as well as tomato dishes, canned and fresh, you can make. Our guest is Prairie Lawn to Prairie conversion. Benjamin Vogt would be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. The hour's full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy you've taken time to be part of the program and allowing us to be part of your day. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in, whether you're listening to us on one of the 20 AM and FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2023 through our parent website, which is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, underneath the Season 7 tab, in-studio video replay, podcast replay, radio app, however you're consuming the product. Thank you very much. You want to be part of it, you can do that by sending us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Let us know where you're listening from. Also, you can give us a call toll-free, coast to coast, at 1-800-927-SHOW. 1-800-927-7469. Well, Holly, at any time of growing season, people will gravitate towards something's not right. I need to add fertilizer. Now, there is multitudes of fertilizers, like there is cereal in the aisle at the grocery store, and sometimes it gets confusing on what is good and what is not, and what's a money grab and what's fake.
Absolutely, and it also kind of depends, I think, on who you ask and how they feel about things or what they use versus, just like a lot of people might lean towards, if there's two major brands.
A familiar.
Yeah, familiar. Or I used X because my family has used X for blah, blah, blah years, whatever. So organic fertilizers are great. So they include things like manures, compost, sometimes bone meal, blood meal. These are directed from plants or animal sources. And then inorganic fertilizers are things like ammonium sulfate, ammonium phosphate. These are chemical or synthetic fertilizers because they go through manufacturing process.
This will all be on the label.
Yeah, and they will sometimes be derived from organic deposits, like mineral deposits, but not always. It just depends on...
Well, somewhere down the chain of command, it's an organic product in some form or fashion before it's constructed into a inorganic material, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about this, you want to think about a few things. Is that one, organic fertilizers are less. There's less to apply, so they may cost more, but you don't have to apply as often or as much. Inorganic fertilizers,
it goes longer, goes further for your dollar.
Inorganic fertilizers are cheaper, but then you might have to apply more.
But with the organic versus inorganic, the inorganic can be more environmentally damaging than the organic can.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that they are not, they're not absorbed by the soil as much. So there's a lot of chance for runoff.
Right. And there's science to this. Now,
yeah, absolutely.
Now you can go, this is science. This is not government science. This is true science. If you want to go that route and believe certain things, there are certain organizations that navigate or create science fact in order to fit a narrative.
Right.
This is factual.
Yeah, this is like plant science,
right.
Eco science, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So, So inorganic fertilizers usually only contain a few nutrients. So like if it just says on the bag, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sometimes they'll have like sulfur included too, but they don't always have anything beyond that. So you get what you get, right? Like you know that it's going to have X, Y, Z, and that's pretty much it. Once you have organic fertilizers, you're going to have X, Y, Z, and probably some other nutrients, minerals, etc.
Right, sulfate, calcium, magnesium, some of the macronutrients is what they label them as. And the plants react differently to the type of fertilizer that you're applying.
Absolutely. So some plants will uptake most plants will uptake the organic fertilizer or the inorganic fertilizer faster than the non-organic fertilizer.
Whether it needs it or not.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And inorganic bonds to water molecules much more readily than the organic can.
Yes. So that's one thing to keep in mind.
That's where you get runoff and algae bloom with the nitrogen, increased levels in ponds, streams, and rivers and lakes is because of that nitrogen runoff. And it's the over application in some instances. It's not that somebody's just backing a truck and pouring it in the creek. Oftentimes, the application, if a little is good, a lot's better because I got a problem. Now, I'm not saying the backyard gardener in Kansas City, Missouri is causing the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico.
No, it's a cumulative process.
Right. Millions of people doing a little bit at a time. You fill a pull up a thimble at a time, but if you have 1,000 people, it goes a little quicker.
Right. And then organic fertilizer, or inorganic fertilizers or chemical fertilizers will often make a crust on the soil. And that
like dried coffee grounds.
Yeah, like dried coffee grounds.
But that consistency.
Yeah. And so obviously when there's a crust over your soil, it's not going, if it rains or you water, it's going to be a problem. So you want to make sure that if you are using inorganic or chemical fertilizers, that you are stirring your soil, cultivating your soil to make sure that you don't have that crust form.
Now, again, organic, you can apply too much of that too. The difference in organic is you are just literally pouring money into the ground, and the plants are only going to absorb what the plants naturally need to absorb. They will discard the rest.
So I just want to talk about that, is that using organic fertilizer, whatever it may be, but you want to use it properly. Mm-hmm. So for example, too much of a good thing is bad, right? So something like manure, if you don't let that manure age,
you're going to burn.
You're going to burn your plant. Yeah. So that might be an organic method of fertilizing, but you have to wait till it ages.
Depends on organic in some form of the fashion, because depending on what the animal is eating, the pig, the cow, the goat, the sheep, if they're eating chemically sprayed grasses or chemically sprayed grain, it's not. I don't think you can call it organic. If they're eating genetically modified corn, soybeans, sprayed wheat.
I'm just using an example
as a very loose example,
right? Yeah. And that you have to make sure that you're understanding, even if it's quote unquote organic, what you're putting on it,
right?
And you are cognizant of what's you're adding to your soil, because of that organic matters, the nutrients, etc., the organic properties, it's going to stay in your soil longer typically than the inorganic, because the inorganic is absorbed faster and quickly by the plants, as opposed to inorganic is going to live and build your soil, and then that helps build your plants.
Now, you don't necessarily need organic or inorganic fertilizer. Look at what nature does. It takes the dying debris of leaves and allows them to compost in the forest floor, and then new plants grow next year, the berry bushes, the shrubs, the thorns, all of that. There's not a gnome going around and adding a little dab of fertilizer to all the little plants.
You don't know that.
I've got good sources that indicate that it's not. I got a better chance of Sasquatch than the gnomes. Anyway, we can mimic that in the backyard. Bring in organic compost. Create compost. Take the leaves and put in your garden at the end of the season. And let them naturally break down. So you don't have to think, okay, I'm going to garden. I've got to set aside X amount of dollars for fertilizer because that's what you gotta have. You don't have to have fertilizer.
No, you don't have to have fertilizer, and you can definitely build your soil many ways, and you don't have to add fertilizer. I personally think it's great to add fertilizer as you need it,
right?
As you really need it, and I wouldn't wait until there's a problem, but I would maybe once a year. Another thing is to keep in mind is that if it's colder out and you're using organic fertilizer, it's going to move slow.
Mm-hmm. Just like molasses, the warmer the material is, the faster it's going to flow through whatever you're doing. Also, now as we are getting into the later portions or middle to later portions of summer, these garden centers are trying to dump inventory. So if there is a specific type of fertilizer that you feel that you want and you want to have some on stock, now's the time to go. Look for the ads, see what they have on clearance, because they don't want to hold on to this stuff. I don't even know if they can legally hold on to some of this stuff.
It doesn't necessarily go bad, but I think they just want it off their shelves.
They want it gone.
Yeah, and you, even in the most surprising places, you'll find this stuff on clearance, like a big box store back in the back area of their clearance. You'll find this stuff. So it's something to
And fertilizer does not go bad if you keep it in a cool, dry place. If moisture gets into it, then it's still going to work, but you've got clumps and big, popcorn ball fulls of fertilizer.
Right. I would definitely, if you are using an inorganic fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, you want to make sure you read the storage instructions because some of this stuff is highly combustible.
And yes, and organic and inorganic fertilizer both can come in granular and liquid form. So it's not just a one-size-fits-all thing. There's multiple avenues in order for each one of these type of things. Well, there's only one place, Holly, where you can get everything but the meat, and they offer a really sweet coupon code for all of you listeners, and you guys have been using it. It's Walton's Incorporated.
Absolutely. As we are heading into canning time, meat harvesting time, etc., Walton's knows you care about what's in your food. So Walton's, you can get the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack sticks that people actually like?
That
Walton's,
you like?
That I like?
No, that
everybody likes?
Because I've made stuff that wasn't that, but I ate anyway because I made it. But you want to make it so you can enjoy it.
That beef jerky ones? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, Walton's can help you make some delicious beef jerky that your friends
turkey jerky, deer jerky
will want to enjoy. And then you can give it
goose jerky's good too.
Goose jerky.
Yes.
You can give as gifts, who knows. But anyway, they have everything, their own full line of meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, seasonings, all sorts of great stuff. If you go to waltonsinc.com, they also have a community where you can learn more about meat processing at meatgistics.com. When you go to waltonsinc.com, you can use code GROW50 to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more.
When we come back, you've got tomatoes either about ready or coming out of the garden. There's a lot of different dishes and canning recipes in which you can store and use these. We're going to go over several of them when we come back. Hang out with us. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
Grip 6 produces American-made products with sleek designs and quality materials. Based and manufactured in Utah, they have high-quality and durable products to last a lifetime. They are built beyond tough. The wallets are low-profile, made out of high-quality aluminum, and options to upgrade. Access your cards and cash without bulk. Guaranteed to last a lifetime, it's the last wallet you'll ever need. Your traditional wallet is big and bulky and not easy to access the cards you need conveniently. Grip 6 has a quick array access for your cards. You can also add money bands for cash, more cards, business cards, and more. Variable capacity for minimalists or maximalists. Lightweight, sleek, and no wallet bulk in your pocket while gardening, working outside, or enjoying the great outdoors. Designed and manufactured in-house for best results in quality every time. When you purchase from Grip 6, you're supporting long life cycle products and American-made manufacturing. Check out their belts, wallets, and socks at grip6.com. Use code RADIO15 to save 15% off at grip6.com. Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
Dripping Springs Oyas clay pot irrigation solves the watering needs for gardens, bushes, new trees, and more. An ancient irrigation system we brought to America. Dripping Springs Oyas, OLLAS, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Check us out.
Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com. Wind River Chimes creates a symphony in any space. Chimes that are inspired by nature and designed to make the natural world even more inspiring. Music speaks to everyone. Individually handcrafted in Virginia for over 35 years and hand-tuned for an exceptional precision and lasting beauty. Because in life, the winds of change are always moving. But no matter where they carry you, Wind River Chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more.
Rootmaker starts your plants off right and keeps them going through harvest. From their seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots to their large variety of grow bags, 1 to 60 gallons. Their products will provide you the harvest you've never seen before. Visit rootmaker.com and use coupon code RADIO23 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com. Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardeners, farms, landscaping, and more. To find our products nearest you, visit blueribbonorganics.com.
Fleet Farm has everything you need to get ready for the canning season. Pick up all your supplies from start to finish as you begin to harvest your garden. Choose from an assortment of jars, strainers, racks, and funnels. Plus, check out the wide selection of mixes, sugar, vinegar, and more. Get what you need for your everyday life, including canning, at new, lower prices. Fleet Farm and fleetfarm.com.
The Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Happy Leaf LED, Rootmaker, Jung Seeds, Tree Hugger Sprinklers, Verlo Mattresses, Farmer's Defense, Pomona Universal Pectin, Natural Green Products, Mantis Tillers. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Farmer's Defense has the tools, the apparel to help your harvesting be much safer and enjoyable.
Yeah, farm and garden in the ultimate comfort. Farmer's Defense has lightweight and durable sleeves made to protect you against the elements while farming. Farmer's sleeves offer unparalleled protection of arms and skin for any farmer, gardener, or outdoor worker. Say goodbye to irritated skin and sunburns in the garden. Their sleeves offer cooling comfort and protection against the elements outdoors. An alternative to thick clothing, Farmer's Defense is made of wicking material with UVF protection factor of 50 plus to protect you from allergens and scratches. To find all of their great products and more, visit farmersdefense.com.
We were on the land and there was some wild raspberries, so I was using my Farmer's Defense sleeves and didn't get pricked at all. Worked out very well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You were. Mm.
And cutting wood as well. You don't get scratched up by carrying the logs around. You have your sleeves. If it's warm outside and you want to prep firewood, works really good. Well, tomatoes, Holly. A lot of them coming out of the garden. Ours will be soon here in the upper Midwest. And there's some things that, what can you do with tomatoes? Well, we eat them. What are the salads? There's canning and there's other dishes in which you can make.
Right. And so there's, and a lot of these have crossover where you can eat them fresh or you can can them.
Okay.
So for example, salsa. And salsa you can make fresh, you can can it. Some people freeze their salsa. It just all depends on the process and what you're trying to do with it. Just a heads up, if you freeze your salsa, it's going to not be the same consistency.
The firmness.
The firmness. It's going to be a little bit mushy, more of like a canned salsa when you pull it out of the freezer. One thing to keep in mind is that when you are canning salsa, you want to think about the heat level. If you add a lot of hot peppers, once they go through that cooking process and then you can it, it could get hotter.
Oh, they intensify.
Yeah.
It kicks it up a notch.
Yep. And same thing with any hot pepper you add to anything you can or cook. It can happen, especially once it sits on a shelf. It's going to intensify.
Now, chutney. What is chutneys here?
Chutney is like a...
Is it a meat jam?
It's like kind of like a very loose jam people do put on meat, or they'll like dip crackers into it or something. But it's not meat jam. It's like I made mango chutney or peach chutney.
We're talking about tomato chutney here,
so
but there's a variety of genre of fruits and vegetables in which you can turn into a chutney.
I think it's like either British or Middle Eastern or something. I don't know. I feel like I should probably explain that better, but it's delicious. People make a tomato chutney. It usually has like a little bit of sweetness to it. A lot of times people will put it on meat because meat can be a little bit more savory, and then this sweetens it up so it makes a nice balance. So tomato soup is fun to make. It's fun to can, and it's delicious. We've made a lot of tomato soup in our day.
India. Chutney.
India. So I was kind of close with the Middle Eastern. So India, yep.
Ancient India is where it originated.
And if you're not familiar, I would highly recommend looking into chutneys, because if you're like, I've canned all the things, or I've done all these things with my tomatoes, it's another option. So yeah, tomato soup is delicious. That's not something you would typically eat
Cold tomato soup.
cold, like gazpacho.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do that, gazpacho. Another one is ceviche. I think there's tomatoes in ceviche. I'm pretty sure, because that's like a thing.
You can add tomatoes to anything.
You can add tomatoes to anything. I mean, realistically, I used to make this pasta, and I'll make it again. I used to make this pasta dish.
Was that the one with the shrimp?
This is a different one.
Okay. We'll talk about the shrimp dish in a moment.
Yeah. So this was tomatoes and then white beans, like cannellini beans, and cheese, and I mixed it with pasta, and it was delicious. It's a little different, but it's good. Yeah.
Did I eat that?
No, I never made it.
Okay.
Do you want me to make it for you?
I don't know. Talking about dishes that was never made for me.
I used to make it. This is so long ago that I used to make it when I was single.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was a long time ago.
The dish with it, you had the shrimp too. It's got the tomatoes in that I enjoy.
I don't really know what to call it. So basically, I take butter, like a good amount of butter, between half a stick and a whole stick, depending on how many tomatoes I have. Melt that down. I chop up a bunch of tomatoes, or if they're cherry tomatoes, I just toss probably what would be a quart of tomatoes in there, and then I let those cook down, kind of smash them up with my spoon. You add some garlic. You can add garlic before you add the tomatoes. And then sometimes I add mushrooms. Sometimes I've added random other vegetables, but usually it's like tomatoes, the butter, garlic, and then shrimp. And then you just mix that all up and put over some pasta.
Yeah, it's very good. If you don't,
Italian seasoning is good.
Now you can omit the shrimp if you are vegan.
You could use.
Is the vegans?
They don't eat any animal products.
Would that be butter as well?
Yeah, they'd have to use vegan butter. But if you're vegetarian, you can skip the shrimp.
Okay.
And you can use something else, or just.
You could probably put instead of shrimp, you could throw peppers in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So, a tomato gravy. What is tomato gravy?
It's, from what I understand, I've never made it, but I had a Southern friend who would make it, and it's basically where you cook like you're making a gravy where you kind of fry the flour in the butter, and then you add tomato instead of. So a lot of times when people are making gravy, they fry the flour into, so it's like making a roux. You fry the flour into the butter, and then you add broth or milk to make like a creamy gravy or some sort of broth, or like an onion gravy. People will add like those onion packets. So this is where you add tomatoes, and then it makes this nice like thick tomato gravy. Well,
there's also tomato pie too.
Yeah.
No, I've never.
Why didn't you tell the folks what tomato pie is?
Well, I've never had tomato pie. I just know that is a very prominent staple in some geographical areas of the United States. That it's the go-to deal.
Is that the South?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the somebody's yelling at the radio. It's us. It's us. It does. I just don't. Pie is supposed to be sweet. I just can't get behind. And I'm sure there's stuff you add to it. We should have looked into what it. You got to add cheese and tomatoes and oregano and all that other stuff.
I got one.
Yes.
I forgot to put on the list here. So this is a breakfast I make myself, is like a hummus toast. And so some people will roast their tomatoes when they do this. I just eat them fresh. But what I do is I take bread, I toast it, and then I spread a nice thick layer of hummus over it. And then I slice up my tomatoes and put that on top. I eat it open-faced.
Okay.
And then I put like everything but the bagel seasoning on top of that. And it's delicious.
Well, I take cherry tomatoes and then I'll smash them so the juices come out. I'll do this in a warm skillet or a cast iron skillet.
Oh, yeah, your bread stuff.
Yeah. And then I'll add a little salt in there and about a half a cup of cream and about 2 tablespoons of butter. Well, the cream is based on the number of tomatoes. But essentially what you're doing is you're creating a very savory tomato paste that you then put on bread that's toasted, and you can eat it like that. You leave the skins on, and it's not bad. You got to do it with fresh tomatoes, though. And you can variate your cream. If you don't have cream, I've used milk before, but it doesn't thicken the juices from the tomato as well as the heavy whipping cream.
You could just eat the tomatoes as a snack, and that's how you woo your lover. Do you know why I say that?
Because you like cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, and because you grew them when we were first dating, and I didn't have a garden. You did. And you would bring me cherry tomatoes, and then I would eat them, and then you kept the tomatoes coming.
Yeah, and you stayed around.
I couldn't get away.
Yeah, you didn't go.
Okay, so another one is bruschetta. It's kind of like a room temperature version of your hot tomato sandwich paste.
Let's talk about canning. There's the books and books and books on canning tomatoes here, but you can do whole tomatoes. When you do whole tomatoes, you do want to peel them, correct?
Yeah, you want to peel them, or you can put them through the
food mill,
food
processor, food mill. So you can do whole tomatoes. You can do tomato juice. You can do chunk tomatoes, pasta sauce. What other things can we do with them?
Salsa, pasta sauce, tomato soup, tomato juice. I feel like just canned tomatoes.
Yeah, canned tomatoes. That was when we talked about removing
ketchup.
Ketchup, barbecue
sauce.
Yeah. Now the thing with ketchup, I grew up with homemade ketchup. It was a luxury whenever we went and got regular, the over-the-counter store-bought ketchup. We made ketchup many years ago, and the recipe instructed to add cinnamon,
clove.
Okay. We didn't add the clove, and it was much, much better.
Yeah, I think I called it like country ketchup. Now we're gonna get a call about that, but because I did not like the clove.
Right.
Yeah.
And see the commercial. Now there's a lot of organic, but it was corn syrup was what the binding agent is in the commercial.
No, it's just a sweetening.
The sweetener
yeah.
agent. Okay.
So when I buy ketchup, I buy the stuff that doesn't have the corn syrup. It's just like sugar flavored or sugar
free.
It's sugar cane sugar or whatever.
Yeah.
And it has nothing. I have nothing against corn syrup. I'm not gonna be like corn syrup is bad. It's just for me the flavor. I like the stuff.
It's too sweet.
It's like almost too sweet with the corn syrup.
It's like eating your sweet tarts with the.
Yeah, with the cane sugar, it just to me tastes brighter. Yeah.
What does that taste like? Bright.
It tastes bright.
It tastes bright.
I don't know. It's just preference. What you like. Sometimes when I have stuff with a lot of corn syrup, it like hits me in the back of my throat in a weird way. So I just get the cane sugar ketchup. So, and it's easy to find. It's like every brand has it. So we got tomato sandwich. So this is, I think it like kind of started off as a Southern thing where people toast their bread and then they put mayonnaise on it. And there's a certain brand of mayonnaise you're supposed to buy because it's the South. And then I'm sure somebody will catch on to that if they know. And then you put your tomatoes on there, a little salt and pepper, and it's supposed to be delicious. I eat them, but I add cheese because I'm a Wisconsinite, so I make a tomato and cheese sandwich, but it's delicious.
Bacon, lettuce, tomato.
Oh, yeah,
tomato pie was brought to Philadelphia by Southern Italian immigrants in the early 20th century.
We should make that.
Tomato pie?
Yeah.
Well, when we get the tomatoes, we can. But until then, if you've got Japanese beetles flying around your yard, and most of us do, it's time to do something about it. And Phylum Bioproducts has that tool in order to eradicate the Japanese beetles, weevils, and borers.
Phylum's Grub Gone and Beetle Gone has a wide range of invasive and destructive beetles, weevils, and borers without harming non-targets such as bees, ladybugs, butterflies, earthworms, or other beneficial insects. You can purchase these products locally in Massachusetts at Ward's Nursery, McHugh Garden Center and Hyannis Country Garden, in Connecticut at Van Willigens Garden Center, in Maine at Salisbury Organics, in New York at Fadigan's Nursery, in Ohio at Berlin Seeds. Phylum's Bioproducts, target the pest, not the rest. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com.
When we come back, conversion from lawn to prairie organizer Benjamin Vogt will be with us. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Tree Hugger sprinklers are the ultimate watering device for either your newly planted or established trees and shrubs. Our sprinklers open and close around the trunk of your tree and provide 360 degrees of watering. With our adjustable valve, you can direct the water to your tree's targeted saturation zone. They come in 3 sizes, 7, 11, and 15 inches. You can purchase a Tree Hugger sprinkler at your local garden center, feed store, or hardware store. Go to treehuggersprinklers.com to find a retailer close to you. Or you can buy it directly from Amazon or treehuggersprinklers.com. If you're an independent nursery, garden center, hardware store, or feed store, you will want to stock this product. Contact the good people at Tree Hugger Sprinklers and they will get you set up. Your tree's best friend. treehuggersprinklers.com.
Dig planting holes from a comfortable standing position. Step, twist, pull, and plant. Visit ProPlugger.com. A non-selective herbicide that is USDA certified? Yep, No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products, the same great company that brings you No More Bugs. No More Weeds kills weeds with no harsh chemicals and no glyphosate. No More Weeds is a commercial-grade vinegar base with a proprietary sticking agent. Great around pools, decks, patios, and more. Visit natgreenproducts.com. Free shipping on orders over $50 using code FREESHIP4ME.
Chapin has the tools for planting your garden and keeping it growing all season long. Whether your garden is big or small, Chapin has sprayers and spreaders for fertilizing, weed, and pest control, watering, and seeding. You can find Chapin products at your local hardware store, big box retailer. You may visit them also online at chapinmfg.com to learn more and buy online.
Hi, I'm Russell Taylor with Live Earth Products. I'm a soil health expert here to help you. Live Earth Products specializes in soil conditioners and fertilizers that will help you build healthy and vibrant flower and vegetable gardens. As our name describes, Live Earth means healthy soils. Live Earth products are humic and fulvic soil amendments and are all natural, organic, and directly from our family mine in Utah. Live Earth products are easy to apply and the results will blossom right before your eyes. Live Earth products can be applied throughout the growing season. So pick up Live Earth Humate Soil Conditioner and Liquid 6 Humic Acid at your local garden center or on Amazon. Also available through our website, liveearth.com. That's livearth.com. Live Earth, here to bring vitality to life in your garden.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 10TG23 to receive 10% off your order at jungseeds.com. Again, that coupon code is 10TG23. The Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Chapin Manufacturing Incorporated, Aqua-Mart, Soil Savvy, Wind River Chimes, Wisconsin Greenhouse Company, Pro Plugger, Deer Defeat, Dripping Springs Oyas, Phylum Bioproducts. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Moments away, Benjamin Vogt will be with us, but first a word from our good friends at Rise Gardens.
Rise Gardens is a revolutionary hydroponic gardening system for your home. Instead of food traveling hundreds or even over 1,000 miles before it hits your plate, harvest the veggies, herbs, and greens you need for dinner tonight in the comfort of your home. No green thumb required knowledge. Gardening made easy with the Rise Gardens app. Step-by-step guidance from seed to harvest. A complete garden on a shelf, and comes with everything you need to grow healthy and the freshest food for you and your loved ones. Fully customize your garden to your needs and preferences. For more information, get your Rise Garden. Visit risegardens.com.
Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Benjamin Vogt is the founder of Monarch Gardens, a prairie-inspired design firm. They specialize in lawn to meadow conversions as well as urban shade gardens. He is also an author, gardener, writer, and landscape designer. Welcome to the program, Benjamin.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to not only educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners. And I'll start with this. What sparked your interest and got you into the landscaping, design, garden, etc.? Where was that aha moment for you?
There were two big aha moments, though the first aha moment was not exactly an aha moment. It was just sort of indoctrination by the fact that I live with my mother, who was an avid gardener, and I would take lots of trips to nurseries with her, more as just a way to spend time with her and get out of the house and away from the rest of the family. Both of us were introverts and loved to get away from the house. But I think that was the first sort of latent gene that was placed within me. But later on, once I got married and my wife and I bought our first house, I just dove into gardening. I was like, we are going to have a big old garden. I started with 1,500 square feet, which is buying whatever they had at the nursery that I thought would work in our soil conditions. Some of those were native plants. Some of those were milkweed. And one day I saw caterpillars eating the milkweed, and I was like, whoa, that's not cool. I spent $15 on that plant. I'm going to go get some insecticides and take care of those caterpillars. And then I said, wait, I'm going to go research this, see what's up. And then I started figuring, hey, all this wildlife around me is using these plants, and that's actually what I want. And from then on, it was all native plants. It was all habitat. It was all building the garden, not just for me, but for all the life around me.
Well, and we see this in the vegetable world, that people whom aren't educated see something in that manner, something's eating it or something's on it. Let's spray something, not knowing that it's not only going to kill the bad bug, but it's going to kill all the bugs because it's a non-selective herbicide or pesticide, and they're doing more damage than if they just would back away and go, hey, let's figure this out before I start jumping in head first.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell vegetable gardeners all the time, the best thing you can do if you want to reduce pests is to have wilder spaces around your vegetable garden, of native plant gardens that are going to bring in beneficial predator bugs. Like, there's so many of them, including wasps. So it's good to have diverse habitat around your veg beds.
Fantastic. So you do the lawn to meadow or lawn to prairie conversions. What is that? Can you explain what that is and what the benefits are to that?
It is killing lawn. I am a lawn murderer. I am a lawn killer. I am so excited about it. I'm so excited that more and more people, demand for our services is just through the roof this year. It was a lot last year, and it's like double this year. So yes, we are taking suburban and urban lawns, those monocultures that require tons of inputs, tons of water and fertilizers and herbicides and pre-emergent herbicides and insecticides and all that nasty stuff that goes into our groundwater and that we drink and that seeps through our bare skin as we walk barefoot on the lawn. We are taking all that nastiness away and adding biodiverse ecosystems native to the region that support wildlife, that sequester carbon and clean the air and cool the air and reduce stormwater runoff, which is a big deal with climate change right now. We don't get nice soaking rains anymore. We get 2-inch deluges that happen in 10 minutes. So the more we can keep that water on site, the better, and a more diverse landscape is going to do that for us. So I forgot the second part to your question. You have to ask me again.
Just what are the benefits to converting the lawn to prairie? And you had answered some of that in regards to the
I did answer. See?
Yeah, I think most of that. Yeah.
Now, I'll ask you this. I know in the West, when people convert lawns to more of a environmental, they rip the lawns out and put gravel in and they get a tax break. Is that similar in Europe in the programs where you're converting it back to native, or is that not something the government has said this is good yet?
Well, not where I'm located here in eastern Nebraska. No, we don't have any tax breaks or programs like that. And those sorts of programs are going to be unique to cities and municipalities around the country. So it just depends on where you live. You should look it up and see if those exist for you to help you mitigate the cost of these landscapes.
Fantastic. So we talked to a lot of people that recommend native plants, and we agree as well. And just as a reminder for our listeners, why are native plants so vital to everyone's ecosystem?
Yes, if we are in a mass extinction right now. People have heard about it, and unfortunately, we have caused that mass extinction, and we see it on a daily basis. We see it, or we hear it. We hear less of it as far as birds. We hear so many less bird species now than when we were younger. I think we're all pretty well aware of that. We tend to see less bugs splattering on a windshield. That's been big news in the last few years. There's just less bugs and insects and moths and things out there. So many of these species evolved with native plants and evolved to use them. So again, we go back to something like a monarch butterfly. Their larvae, their caterpillars can only use milkweed. It's a very specialized relationship. Without milkweed, you have no monarch butterflies. And this specialization is repeated hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of times in our native ecosystem. So if we don't have the native plants that your caterpillars are using for their leaves, or even there are something like 25% of our native bee species rely on specific genus or family or species of native plant to gather pollen from. So if we don't support these specialized relationships, we lose pollinators. And we're going to lose plants too, because if we don't have the insects pollinating the plants, then the plants can't produce viable seed and create more plants and create more habitat. And if you think about birds again, right? Birds, most songbirds feed a steady diet, almost 100% of moths and butterflies and caterpillars to the young for the 2 weeks or so that they're in the nest. So insects are the base of the food chain for so many species. So if we don't have the insects, we don't have the native plants to support them, we are in big trouble.
Now, obviously, native meaning local to the person living there. It's different in Kansas City versus Denver versus Pittsburgh. How can somebody find out what is native to their particular geographical area? Where is a good source to start at?
I think I should plug myself right now. No, I shouldn't. That's so bad. No, it's good. I have an online class on my website, monarchguard.com, that is it's about how to start your native plant garden, and it goes through all the different resources. And some of those resources include just entering your zip code at websites like Audubon Society. What are the other ones? There's so many. Xerxes Society, Pollinator Partnership. They just have you put in your zip code, and you can just start that way. The lists aren't exhaustive by any means. They're sort of baby lists, but you can start to explore that way. And then, of course, reading my book, Prairie Up, is going to launch you a long ways into figure out what's native to you.
Do you find the people who are not aware of what you do, the conversion, are they like you're resistant, or are they curious, or are they like, yeah, okay, let's do it. I'd like to have you do it on my lawn, or is there some convincing that has to go along in this?
Oh, it's all of those things. It highly depends. I mean, I have been on garden installs where we are converting a front lawn and a small front lawn at that. For this one I'm thinking about, and a neighbor walked across the street and just yelled at me, right? And I'm just like, I'm just the guy installing the plants. If you want to learn more about it, I'm happy to talk with you about it right now. But, he stormed off, and that was the end of that. I have had some neighbors walk across the street and express interest in it. We have a nice little conversation about it. But, I share pictures of my home landscape headquarters all the time on social media. And folks ask, have you convinced any of your neighbors? If any of your neighbors come up and said, hey, I'd really like to try to do that in my own landscape. And I'm like, no, I have convinced nobody. Lawn is so entrenched in our culture and our psyche and our identity, even though it's only been around for 50, 60, 70 years. So even when we do these landscapes, I don't think we're convincing neighbors. I think we have this general idea that a garden, I'm putting garden in quotation marks here, a garden is a lot of work, right? It's a lot of upkeep. You got to know a lot to manage it. But you're not out there having to mow every week. You're not out there having to water once or twice a week, like you are with here we have tall fescue lawns that have to have an inch of water a week. You're not having to apply fertilizers, especially if you're matching plants to the site conditions, the soil, the drainage, the sunlight. It's a right plant, right place mentality. So I had to mow today for 10 minutes. We've got like 500 square feet of lawn left. And I just want to kill the rest of the lawn. That 10 minutes was way, way too long. The rest with the other native plant beds, I don't have to do any kind of maintenance like that.
So aside from people getting rid of their whole lawn, what are some ways that people can kind of make their lawns more prairie friendly?
Gradually work into
that, because people are used to having their lawns. Many people are kind of addicted to that. So what's a way that people can work into it, or maybe just have a portion, or what can you kind of encourage people to consider unlawning themselves?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way, we probably all have foundation beds around our house, and the easiest thing you can do is put an aster out there. And once that thing blooms, you can just sit there and all day long and enjoy the thousands of insects that come to it, and just realize, wow, this is really cool. Look at all the support that this one aster plant is giving to such a diversity of insects coming to use this plant for food. But then the next easiest step is, once you get hooked that way, is just to deepen those foundation beds around our houses. Most foundation beds in my neighborhood are only about 2 or 3 feet deep. That's not enough to support anything and create a sustainable, low-maintenance ecosystem. So doubling and tripling the depth of our beds around our house to maybe something like 10 feet is a wonderful start. And you'll still have plenty of lawn to throw a Frisbee around, even though you can certainly throw a Frisbee in a meadow too.
And you talked about, you're not having to mow every week. People may be concerned, and the prairie, there's not gnomes going around and weeding or cutting things down. What level of maintenance or requirement is needed once this thing is fully installed and you've converted over to a prairie yard, essentially?
Once it's fully installed and everything is in balance, and this can take a year or 2 or sometimes 3 or sometimes more. It depends on if you're using seed or potted material, how fast things are going to fill in and establish. But once it's fully established, we're pretty much talking about occasional weed control, especially tree seedlings. That seems to be the biggest issue. And then you're talking about a annual mowing out here in eastern Nebraska. We're doing that about early April every year. Once the soil temperatures stick at 50 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, then you can start to mow things down. And that's really about it. If you have done the right plant, right place, right plant community, you've mashed all the plants together and the site conditions and everything is knit tightly together with lots of deep layers, ground covers, and 2-foot tall plants and 4-foot tall plants. It's really quite self-sustaining. Of course, there are caveats to this conversation, and site-specific and region-specific, but generally, it is not mowing every week. It is not watering every week. It is not fertilizing 4 times a year. None of that.
Fantastic. Now, you had talked about the milkweeds for the monarchs. What are some other plants that are beneficial to monarchs? Because you see these signs that this is a monarch official garden, etc. And I've seen those gardens. They don't all have a ton of milkweed. They have some milkweed mixed in. Are there any other plants that are beneficial to the monarchs?
Of course, pretty much any native plant out there is going to be beneficial to the monarch because we're mostly seeing, for the most part, monarchs are adults, right? They're not caterpillars for very long. So they need flowers, and they need a diversity of flowers, and they need a diversity of flowers blooming at all times of the year. And so do all the other butterflies and moths and bees and whatever out there. They need flowers blooming all the time. So really any native plant out there is going to be putting out flowers is going to be beneficial. You don't really need that much milkweed. It's just a small slice of the pie.
Well, Benjamin, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered us and the amount of information you provided. How can people find out more about you, your website, your book, and those classes you spoke about earlier?
Yeah, online classes, webinars, downloadable garden plans, and you can take a workshop with me. All that good stuff is at my website, monarchgarden.com. You can just Google Monarch Gardens, Benjamin Vogt, really hot, sexy prairie garden designer, and you'll probably you'll find it. And then, of course, my books are Prairie Up and then A New Garden Ethic.
Well, Benjamin, again, we thank you for your time and the information for being on the program.
It's a pleasure. Thank you guys so much again.
Absolutely. And when we come back, it's Your Garden Questions, Our Garden Answers. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online. Do you know that overwatering and underwatering are the top causes of plant death? Tree Diaper solves both those problems by absorbing excess water and releasing it back when the soil dries. Use code GARDEN15 to save 15% on TreeDiaper.com. Aqua-Mart.com has everything you need for eye-pleasing outdoor water features on your property. For over 25 years, we've been creating and field testing beautiful water features in order to provide you with the most reliable products and best value in the industry. From easy-to-install pond and water-filled kits to pumps, fish food, and more, you'll find everything you need to install and maintain a naturally balanced water feature in your yard. Make your backyard a true oasis and maintain it well. Visit Aqua-Mart.com to shop for all your needs. You put a lot of time and energy in your garden, but without a rescue Japanese beetle trap, you can kiss that hard work goodbye. Asparagus annihilated. Raspberries ravished. Green beans, forget about it. Get those little invasive pests out of your garden and send them where they belong inside a rescue Japanese beetle trap. Now with available refill lures, rescue Japanese beetle traps can be used for multiple seasons. They're made in the USA by the makers of the popular Rescue, Fly, and Yellow Jacket traps. Learn more at rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com. Deer Defeat is an all-natural based animal repellent to keep deer and rabbits away from your valuable plants that is odorless after 30 minutes and dries clear. It creates a continuous, invisible shield to protect your plants. Works for 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze. Will not clog your sprayer. Apply to your property without environmental damage. You can spray directly onto your plants up to flowering, then apply around your plants to continue protection. No need to reapply. money-back guarantee. To purchase, go to deardefeat.com and use coupon code RADIO to save 10% off your order.
You know what's different about Verlo mattress? Everything. Like no price gouging, no shenanigans, none of the shady dealings of other mattress chains and furniture stores that overcharge for virtually the same mattress. The ripoff stops here. Verlo makes every mattress they sell, so you get better quality, lower prices, and a lifetime comfort guarantee. Because at the end of the day, you don't deserve shenanigans, you deserve a good night's sleep. Wake up, sleep better. Verlo.
The Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Dripworks, Rise Gardens, Grip 6, Bloomin' Easy, Fleet Farm, Waltons Incorporated, Blue Ribbon Organics, Tree Diaper. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us today. Time for your garden questions, our garden answers. You've got a question, send it on over. GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. That's GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. Or you can jam your fingers in the phone and give us a call at 1-800-927-7469. 1-800-927-7469. 1-800-927-SHOW, toll free coast to coast. If we can't get to you, leave a message and we will call you back. Holly, we have our first question is sponsored by Fleet Farm and fleetfarm.com.
Your show is a tremendous help to gardeners. I appreciate it. The last few years, chiggers have been a problem in our garden. Is there a way to get rid of them? Thank you for any advice you can share on the topic.
Okay, chiggers are, for those who are not aware, they're very tiny. You don't see them. They're basically...
they're like little bitey gnats.
Yeah, the gnats that bite. And you don't know they bit you until about 2 days later, and they itch for about 3 weeks.
It itches forever, and there are these little like raised bumps on your skin whenever they bit you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things in which you can do. You can keep your grass cut shorter than what is recommended. Typically, a recommendation of height of grass is 2 3/4 to 3.5 inches. You can keep it cut shorter. You can also add diatomaceous earth to kill chiggers by dehydrating them and preventing their body fluids from circulating properly, or by slicing them with a sharp granular. Explain what diatomaceous earth is, because you said that this is not a very nice product.
It's not. It's a very gritty product, and it's
a natural product.
It's a natural product, and it's mined, I believe.
Yes.
And it's used to get rid of a lot of soft body insects, which includes chiggers. And basically, for one, they consume it, dehydrates them, or if they're crawling through it, it's going to slice them up. And that's what it does.
Yeah, it's
if you have pets, though, you do have to be I believe you have to be careful with it. You do want to apply it according to the directions.
Yeah, follow the directions, but it's a very organic and natural means of dealing with insects that you're not happy with. All right, next question.
But not all insects.
Not all insects, right. Yeah. What are some easy-to-save seeds?
Well, the key to seed saving is make sure you can find that the seed is fully developed and intact. So some of the easiest seeds to save are things like peppers, beans, watermelon, any sort of squash, pumpkin, leeks, and corn. And then a lot of times if something develops a seed pod, you can save that. You would just have to look and make sure that it does dry out. And then you can save those seeds, like radishes and
kale.
Lettuce, dill. Yeah.
With the leeks and the kale and other brassicas, 2 years on that deal. And then with the corn, you want to leave it on just like field corn. You want to wait until it completely dries. If you're wanting to save it for seed and you don't care if there is the opportunity or a chance that cross-pollination has occurred from patches throughout the neighborhood or the countryside, that if you're going to save the seeds, you're going to pick up some genetic traits in that. Tomatoes, people, I want to save tomato seeds. You can do that. You want to leave the tomato on the vine as long as possible, basically rotting it on the vine. Then you're going to extract, you're going to take a mason jar, a wide mouth pint jar, and squeeze the seeds out of it. Going to cover, you're going to add just a little bit of water.
You can use any jar.
Yeah. But I use wide mouth because you can get your hand in there and stir
them. But you can use like an old mayonnaise jar. Right. It doesn't have to be a mason jar.
For those who don't understand that, mayonnaise jars used to be made out of glass back in the day. And you want to take and squeeze the seeds out of the tomato itself and then add a little bit of water. Cover it with a coffee filter or a rag. It's going to ferment for about 3 days, 72 hours. It's going to have a little smell coming off of it. At that point, then you want to drain the liquid off and catch the seeds. What is occurring is that fermentation is eating away at the seed or that gelatinous slime around each seed that the tomato has inside of it. It's a protective layer that protects the seed as the tomato falls in the ground this fall, that it won't start germinating until next spring. So it can be done. And with any seed saving, you want to mark what your seeds are so you remember, because you will forget if you don't.
Absolutely. So our next question is, why do you add acid lemon juice for canned tomatoes, even if you are pressure canning them? It's just for freshness. And
in the water bath world, you add it as an acidic.
Yeah.
For safe preserving.
Yeah. So for the tomatoes, it's just a freshness thing. It's just something I learned along the way.
Okay. Next one. I live in Atlanta and I bought a house and have a huge space to garden. I want to get some plants established now. How do I find advice on what to plant that is native?
Yeah. So first of all, congratulations on your new home. And second of all, I would go to your local independent garden center. These people are going to be able to help you. They might recommend some natives, and they also might recommend something else.
Whether you're shade or sun, perennial or annual.
This person provided a picture, and I would have loved to help them. But the thing is I don't live in Atlanta or the South,
right?
So I don't have a great deal of native plants to grow there. Also, and how they would grow best, and maybe how you can combine them. That's not my expertise. They also wanted to know how to get some big containers, and I advise that you can get those at garden centers, garden stores.
Now's a good time because
they're probably marking them down. Yeah. So if you ever don't know, like, hey, I have this space here and I don't know what to plant here, you can certainly go to your local garden center and local independent garden center, take some pictures, show them what you're looking for, and they can help you.
With that, you're going to your local independent garden center. Just don't go to the first one that comes up when you go to your favorite search engine and type in local independent garden center in my area. There might be 3, there might be 13. Look at the ratings. Look at what people have wrote, because just because Bill's Independent Garden Center is down the street doesn't mean Bill's Independent Garden Center is very good.
Right, and some of them will have kind of specialties. Some will be better for vegetables, and some will be better for flowering plants and shrubs, and some of them will just have better looking yard signage and containers.
The one that we deal with has all of that. They have people on staff that know everything. If Bill doesn't know, Sarah knows. If Sarah doesn't, there's a chain there that everybody knows a little bit enough to help you out.
It's a complete garden center.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And you can always call ahead, say, hey, I'm coming in to do XYZ or to accomplish XYZ or look for whatever. And they will be like, yes, we'll make sure blah, blah, blah. That's Jane and she can handle that. And she's here on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever. Yeah.
And like the individual that wrote us, have some photographs and know if the plant or the area is shaded, partially shade, full shade, or full sun, because the more information you can tell somebody who has knowledge about the plants and is a garden center, the better, more accurate, and happier you will be 3, 5, and 10 years down the road, because they have given you an annual or perennial that will come back year after year, a shrub, a tree that is designed or can adapt to that particular location that you want something to fill in.
What's funny is that one of my friends asked if I ever feel bad for saying, like, I don't know, or referring to questions somebody else.
Joe Lampel said that was the best thing you could ever say.
That's what you can do, because I could Google this, like some native plants for Atlanta, but I don't know anything about that.
But when you Google that for some plants, there's 400,000 different articles, and who knows how many of them are just saying something, so you click and they get their little nickel every time you click on a link.
Absolutely. So just keep in mind that we want to help you, but sometimes we don't know. I'm not from the South, and I have no idea. So that's why I can refer you to someplace that's going to be better.
Well, with that being said, Holly, we are out of time, and we thank you for yours. Miss any portion of the program today or would like to revisit it, send us an email at gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and we will send you a link to the program. You can find all past shows at our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and our videos there. Tune in next week to the program where we will be discussing building your soil for a better garden next year, as well as fall bulb planting. And our guest will be author Melissa K. Norris, homesteader and author, will be with us. So until next week, for
Hi, Baird.
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.